We finally have the full patch notes for Strive 2.0. As you can see by the little tiny loading bar on the right, these are some long ass patch notes. These are some very long patch notes. We're not going to be going through all of them. But one of the most important things, let's talk about when I knew this patch was going to be special. Yesterday, when they were showing off some of the Happy Chaos changes. This is Happy Chaos 236 at the red. It used to lead into a full combo, full corner carry, into Deus Ex Machina, which reloads bullets, into Guess for Game, right? Now it's just a little flop on the ground. This is a culmination of years and years of patches where the characters have been just getting buffed and buffed and buffed. And now, unlike Tekken, whose slogan was back to basics, Guilty Gear is truly going back to basics. And the reception has been crazy. This tweet, imagine going back in time and showing people this. Two of the biggest haters of Strive, in my opinion, Jonathan Tene and Leffen, have been insanely positive about this patch. And generally, like 95% of the population think this is one of the best fighting game patches ever. I'm a little skeptical to say it's one of the best fighting game patches ever because we haven't even played it yet, right? But there's a lot going for it in this patch. In this video, we'll kind of recap the major changes. The TLDR is they nerfed like everyone and they're really going back to basics. And we'll look at some of the reactions from the community. Jonathan Tene says, I've been hating for the last 3 years on Strive patches, with them either making the game worse or expecting props for going back on disastrous mistakes they made. I can't hate, these patch notes are fire. Leffen can't believe this shit. Strive patch is easily a single patch I've ever seen. Even SQ, I don't believe what I'm reading with these Strive notes is legit just banger after banger. Let's look at some of these bangers. There's a lot of system changes. These couple tweets summarize them. The first one being throw PRC removed. So this is a really scrubby mechanic where you could whiff a throw, you guessed wrong, and then you could cancel that throw with 50 meter and then hit them or throw them again, right? They made super with PRC removed. This is like a really scrubby mechanic where you could like do the startup of your super and then cancel it before the startup ended. You also can't like RC the super as well. So you can't do like super and then get a combo or make it safe, right? Supers are counter hit punishable, so more damage if you guess wrong on invincible reversal. Wall breaks are no longer stronger. Happy Chaos is fully reworked, etc. And then either this is a really strong player from Japan. Also talking about some of the other things, right? So there's like a bunch of minor changes as well. Hit stun is generally less, combos are generally shorter. There's this mechanic where there's like a follow-up only hitbox during combos. And so for example, like sometimes you want to use close slash in a combo. You don't want to buff close slash too much because then it'll be an anti-air, but you also want your combos to be consistent. So what they did is they add hitboxes that only exist during combos so that a close slash can be used in a combo, but not function as an anti-air. Actually really smart, to be honest. They increased proration on some moves like 5P and I believe 2Ps and like some other starters. They are pretty ambiguous on the starters. They said like lunging moves, for example, have like increased proration. But basically increased proration on a lot of like scrubby starters, right? They also made it so like invincible DPs have more recovery. So for example, I used to play Lucy when I was playing Strive last, and she has the DP. And after that DP, you can kind of like run up and try to like close slash or like far slash and that sort of thing. Now you're basically returned to neutral, which means that this is like a complaint I've seen from like Street Fighter players, is that you get an invincible reversal and then you could just win the game by running offense. You can't do that in this game anymore, which is honestly really good. Maybe unless you're like in the corner. Damage has generally been toned down. And another big change was that they removed, he calls it blue black step, is probably translation, but you used to be able to BRC a backdash and then do like instant overheads or like invul through things. That's gone too, right? So even though some of these are like really high skill mechanics, like for example backdash BRC was legitimately hard to do. You had to really grind out that mechanic. It was very, very strong and honestly led to like some degenerate play patterns at the highest level. That's all gone. And of course Wild Assault's gone. I mean, you guys all knew that, right? We knew that from a couple weeks ago. But this game is going to be a lot more basic. In my opinion, it's going to be a lot more fundamental, which is going to be really, really neat. It's going to be more interactive, which I'm personally a big fan of. You know, I personally am not the biggest fan of them taking away stuff, but we've had like 2-3 years of like being able to play with these things, right? Happy Chaos has been top 1 for 3.5 years. I don't feel bad for Happy Chaos players, right? I'm glad that character got gutted. In fact, he deserves to be gutted. You got 3.5 years of like winning tournaments with that character. That's fine. He can take a hit, you know? But yeah, let's look at some of the other tweets. Oh yeah, so some characters did get hit like a little bit harder than others. Asuka was one that people think got hit like overly nerfed. I thought this tweet was pretty funny. What Arxis thought Asuka was doing. In fact, there's so many changes to this patch that it's kind of hard to guess the implications of like everything, right? So is Asuka truly dead? I actually don't know, right? I don't think anyone's really gonna know, especially if a big patch like this is one of the biggest shakeups I've seen. It's truly deserving of the 2.0 title. I don't really know if Asuka's dead. We'll see. Yeah, this is generally just people are talking about like Arxis used to have the most dog shit patches, and now people are really liking this patch. So if you guys watched the Arc World Tour, Jack was the winner of Arc World Tour of Happy Chaos. This is Jack taking the bullet, and Jack being Happy Chaos. Yeah. This is SQ making a troll post. My big stupid Chungus characters bomb 1 now. Here's a list of nerfs in a patch entirely consisting of nerfs that make my character unplayable. Yeah, my actions have consequences. How terrible. Some people are trying to like see who are the winners and losers. Again, I don't know. Apparently there's like mistranslations in the patch notes or something. So take all of this with like a really big grain of salt, because I don't think we're gonna know until like we see how people interact with the patch and that sort of thing. It's even getting like attention from other communities. You know, Chris CCH says Strive players are enjoying a great patch, while Street Fighter players are getting into heated debates about whether Sagat or Mai has ruined the game more. It's true. I can't believe they shot my character, dude, as they read off notes and changes from the "we are putting bullet holes in everyone's chest" patch. Bro, they are flaming. So Boy's like one of the top Potemkin players. Potemkin known as like a top 1, top 2 character. Very, very strong. I am personally top 3. I thought Happy Chaos was better. Well, if you wanted to make all the pot mains get off pot, congrats, you succeeded. Welcome back, Potom 1. Dizzy looks pretty good though. And then the 5. The Israeli flag reaction is crazy. Yeah, some people don't. In particular, it seems like Happy Chaos players, Potemkin players, and Asuka players are a little upset, and maybe ABBA players too. Everyone else is pretty big chillin'. This is, you know, even just looking at this. So for example, like you compare these two lists, right? Just to show you like how hard it is to gauge this this patch. Lord Knight and King Africa is also a really strong player. I somehow messed that up. You can see like people are pretty divided on like who's a big winner and whatnot, right? You see, for example, Axel's the number 1 on Lord Knights, and Axel is mid, right? Same-ish. Goes from big winner to same-ish. Same thing with Eno, big winner to same-ish. Same thing with Chip, big winner to same-ish. And these are 2 really, really strong players. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a while before we fully flesh this patch out. Oh, this eagle transition is pretty cool, by the way. I hope this doesn't add the longer load times, but oh, you got the Jacko. That looks kind of sick. As long as you can skip that. And another glaze from a known hater, Zondo. I lost hope in Strife patches, but my first impression are that this patch generally seems like one of the best patches the game has ever had. Yeah, generally people like the patch. Is this one of the greatest fighting game patches in fighting game history? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Patch comes out in like 2 days. There's too much to cover. I don't know. Go watch like a 5-hour long VOD. I'm not covering this shit. I'd rather just play the game. and see where we go from there. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, take care, and let me know what you guys think about the patch below.